Hey guys! So, I know there's been some gaps in my uploading schedule as of late, and I promise I will be working on that really soon. So, this past weekend, some friends and I went to Fort Sumter for my brother's birthday. I would like to let it be known that we did wear masks, socially distanced, and wash our hands before and after the trip. The tour was only 33% occupied to ensure the safety of the passengers. Now, this will be a little bit different from my other vlog because unlike Mepkin's Abbey, Fort Sumter was extremely windy. The tour was 2 hours and 45 minutes long, the trip there and back being 45 minutes each, which only gave us an hour there. I filmed as much as I could, but we didn't talk as much as we normally would, as of how windy it was, and the mask muffled my voice anyway, so I'm sorry there's not much audio as I would have liked, but I will try to do over voices for anything that needs to be explained. I'll start with some pictures of the gift shop at the harbor, and then we'll go on to the actual experience. Yeah.
I knew it'd be windy. Why did I do that? Okay,
Sorry.
okay, but just imagine someone's a kid.
If you walk around here, you'll hit some stairs that take you up to the observation level. Same as the stairs right here, so it's kind of a loop, okay? The bathrooms are back there on the first level. You can see some ladies that are sitting right outside the ladies' restroom. The men's room is back underneath the stairs. That's it for modern amenities. We do have a bookstore here. It's the same as the bookstore where you just came from. Same product, same company, same employees, same prices. So feel free to go up there, but it's the same as the one that you came from and the one that you're going back to. All right, so why Fort Sumter? Fort Sumter is a direct result of the War of 1812. During that war, the U.S. Navy sailed up on the Great Lakes and burned part of Toronto, Canada. During the second year of that war, the Royal Navy reciprocated, sailed up the Chesapeake Bay to Washington, D.C., burned the Capitol and the White House. So our nation responded by building about 4 dozen of these coastal defense forts. We started Maine, go all the way around the country. Where do you put a fort? You put a fort somewhere based on the range of the weapons that you're going to use from the fort. So at the time these forts are being constructed in the 1830s, 40s, and 50s, before the U.S. Civil War, The most common cannon had a maximum range of about 1.5 miles on a good day.
Wow.
There were 2 forts already at the mouth of Charleston Harbor at that time. One is Fort Johnson. You guys passed the site of Fort Johnson. It's about 1.5 miles that way.
Was that the one with the Irish flag?
Yards. And the other is Fort Moultrie.
I couldn't quite hear it.
About 1 mile this way.
Yeah, everyone was talking.
From each other, those 2 forts
No, I
are
couldn't hear where all
almost
the
3
wind was
miles.
coming.
Oh.
When you have 1.5 mile max range guns that are 3 miles apart, it creates some dead space. So that defined for the Army where they needed to come out and survey the harbor to find the shallowest water. Because when you build a man-made island like the one that we're standing on, you obviously want to do it in the most shallow water that you can. After 15 years and over 100,000 tons of rock, the island was built. And then another 15 years beyond that, and the emplacement of these 3 million bricks, the walls were up. Now Fort Sumter is shaped kind of like home plate in baseball. The back would be the part of home plate that faces the pitcher, the long straight part. And up here, there's 2 walls that go like this. The reason they go like this is that's where the main ship channel was and is. That's the front of the fort as constructed. When I say the walls were up, all 5 walls went up to 48 feet above low water. And you'll see a red stripe on our flagpole. You can't see it from here, but that is the height of the walls on opening day after the fort has been under construction for 30 years. So after 30 years, it's now 1860. 1860 is a presidential election year, a lot like 2020. It was calm, it was reasonable, there was no friction. Everybody got along very, very well.
Cute.
There's 4 guys running for the presidency. 3 of them said, I want all of the states joining from the Western Territories to come in as slave states or to vote as to whether they're going to be slave or free. One guy said, I want all the states joining from the Western Territories to be free states. That was scary to the plantation owner oligarchy in the Deep South. So Lincoln's name did not appear on the ballot in 9 southern states. He got no electoral votes from the South. He only won 40% of the popular vote. But the other 3 guys split the rest of the vote, so 40% was enough to win him the election. 6 weeks after Lincoln's election, South Carolina said, that's it, we quit, we're no longer part of the United States. Why South Carolina was the first state to secede? At the time, South Carolina was the most densely populated slave state. 57% of the humans in South Carolina were property at the time of Lincoln's election. A week after South Carolina seceded, the United States Army moved its headquarters from Fort Moultrie 2,000 yards over this way, across the water out to Fort Sumter. Why? Well, I already told you we had huge walls here. We had 1 mile of open water. There's a lot of land that's on this side of the fort, right in front of the ferry boat. That is new real estate. That was not there historically. That's only been there about 60 years. There was 1 mile of open water, 360 degrees around this fort back in 1860. Up Fort Moultrie, one of the soldiers said, if we improve the walls a little bit, then perhaps the cows will stop climbing over them and grazing on our parade ground. So if you can't keep the cattle out, you're going to have a hard time with anybody more determined. When the Army came out here, they brought out enough food to last until the middle of April. 2 things happened in the 4 months between the end of December and the middle of April. The first is that in February, 6 more states joined South Carolina and the Confederate States of America was formed. And then in March, Lincoln was inaugurated. President Lincoln's been in the office about 3.5 weeks. He says, you know what, we got to do something about those soldiers down at Fort Sumter. They're starving to death, and I don't want them to leave the fort. So Lincoln sends the Navy down with supply vessels. He also writes a letter down to the South saying, I'm sending down a chuck wagon, leave it alone. As soon as the Confederate States got that message, they sent a delegation over here from Fort Johnson, which they had taken over as soon as the Army left Fort Moultrie. They also took over Fort Moultrie. They also took over Castle Pinckney, that little round fort that y'all passed on the way out here. And they started putting guns on Morris Island, which is actually the closest land to Fort Sumter at that time. It's about 8/10 of a mile over this way. That delegation came out, talked to Major Anderson, the U.S. Army commander. You'll see his face on the bottom of the flagpole if you choose to go up there. They said, hey, Major Anderson, we need you to leave. Major Anderson excused, and they left. As soon as the delegation got back to Fort Johnson, the first shot was fired. It was fired from a Confederate mortar. This is a mortar just like the one that was fired. It may have been the one because it came from that site, but statistically unlikely. Mortars fire a real high angle of fire projectile. This one was used to explode at its apogee, so think fireworks. That led all the rest of the Confederate guns to start shooting at Fort Sumter. After a day and a half of firing more than 3,000 rounds at Fort Sumter returning fire, but probably less than a tenth of that total number, there were no holes that were cut in Fort Sumter's walls. Nobody had been killed on either side. However, there was a building in the back of Fort Sumter that caught on fire, and that's the building that held the gunpowder magazine. Major Anderson had to pull his troops off the firing line to fight that fire. When that happened, the Confederate officer at Fort Johnson said, "Oh, it's the middle of April. Maybe they're ready to leave." So he came over here under a white flag, found Major Anderson, and said, "Hey, Major Anderson, it's the middle of April. You've not been resupplied. Those resupply ships have anchored outside of Confederate gun range. They're not coming in. And oh, by the way, your fort's on fire. What do you say?" Major Anderson said, "Send us out of here." So the Confederacy generously supplied a ferry boat. All 85 soldiers, that's all that was here, got on that ferry boat, were taken out to those Navy supply ships, repatriated to New York, and that began a 4-year occupation of Fort Sumter by the Confederate States Army. Nobody bothered them for the first 2 years, so the Confederate soldiers and their enslaved laborers just worked to make the fort more defensible. But in the summer of 1863, the U.S. Army attacked and seized Morris Island, that little island just right over here. Some of you may remember a movie called Glory, starring Denzel Washington, Matthew Broderick, Morgan Freeman, about combat operations on Morris Island in the summer of 1863. Once the U.S. Army had a foothold ashore, they started shelling Fort Moultrie, Fort Sumter, Fort Johnson, and downtown Charleston, 5 miles away. This particular fort was fired at over 44,000 times over the next 18 months. In fact, over here, right in front of this sign, or over there by that lady who's waving back at me, there are 2 100-pound projectiles stuck in the wall. So we know where 2 of those 44,000 went. The rest of them just knocked the top 35 feet off the walls. Early in 1865, the Confederacy abandoned Fort Sumter. The U.S. Army rolls back in. This remained an active Army fort until 1947. About 35 years after the Civil War, the Army came back and built this big black thing. Instead of 135 guns that fired a relatively small cannonball, there were 2 big guns up there that each fired a 1,000-pound projectile out to a range of 8 miles. When you get up on top of the fort, your visual horizon is only 6.5 miles looking out the Atlantic Ocean. So look back at downtown Charleston. There's a big bridge there. The distance from the center of that big bridge to our flagpole is 4 miles. So those 2 half-projectiles can go off twice the distance of that bridge. After the Army was done rigging the guns, it covered this thing with tar to waterproof it because this is a real humid environment. You've got to keep it dry for it to work. And the area that we're standing on is called the parade ground. We expect to be able to hop around this thing and hop out into an area that looks just like this on the other side. We won't be able to do that. You'll be faced with a set of stairs. You'll go up about 20 feet because after the Army built this, it built in the Atlantic-facing side full of dirt, sand, cannons, everything else that was in there up to almost 20 feet. And the reason for that is that when the modern enemy ship came in the harbor and fired at the fort, its modern guns would easily penetrate the walls, but what they will not do is penetrate those brick walls and then run through 4 feet of sand. That was their protective cover. The Park Service got this after World War II. Communications obsolete. We dug out the area.
Not Chase and Liam.
Oh, they wandered off too?
They were up a while ago. Down the other side.
Anyways, guys, that is pretty much it for the Fort Sumter trip. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I am sorry there's not much footage talking, but there's many different guidelines for COVID, plus it was super windy. We just couldn't get quite as much footage as we would have wanted. I'm sorry half the video was the rangers speaking, but that's the best I could have done. If there's anywhere historic in South Carolina or near South Carolina you'd like me to go, please let me know. And if you want to continue helping me tell these amazing stories, click that subscribe button. And if you want notifications every time I upload a video, just click that little bell icon in the corner. I'll see y'all again soon. Bye.